Deep in museum storage rooms and forgotten archaeological sites lie Viking artifacts so strange, so puzzling that scholars have spent decades debating their true significance. These aren't your typical swords and shields. These are objects that challenge our understanding of medieval Scandinavian connections to the wider world. Objects that reveal the Vikings were part of trade networks and cultural exchanges far more complex than most people realize. Today we're uncovering 5 artifacts that tell stories someone clearly didn't want us to piece together. In 1956, archaeologists digging on the Swedish island of Helgö made a discovery that revealed the true extent of Viking Age global connections: a bronze Buddha statuette sitting peacefully among centuries of Norse artifacts, over 4,000 miles from its birthplace in northwest India. This wasn't some random trade good. The Buddha was discovered in archaeological layers spanning 4 centuries of continuous occupation, surrounded by Scandinavian metalwork, glass beads, and Islamic coins. The bronze casting technique and artistic style point to the Kashmir region of northwest India, created sometime between the 4th and 6th centuries CE. But here's what makes this discovery truly remarkable. This sacred statue didn't just survive a journey across continents, it was cherished. The bronze shows distinctive wear patterns, the kind that only comes from repeated handling over generations. Someone at Helgö valued this Buddha enough to keep it safe, to pass it down, to treat it as more than mere exotic curiosity. The implications are staggering. This tiny statue proves that Viking Age Scandinavians weren't isolated barbarians. They were connected to trade networks that stretched from the Arctic to the Indian Ocean. But it also raises deeper questions. How did a Buddhist religious artifact become integrated into Norse culture? What other Eastern knowledge traveled these same routes? The Helgö Buddha now resides in Stockholm's Museum of National Antiquities, where it's displayed as evidence of Viking trade connections. But what the museum doesn't emphasize is how this single artifact forces us to completely reconsider the sophistication and reach of medieval Scandinavian civilization. In 1824, an Inuit hunter exploring the remote Kingiderswak Island off Greenland's west coast discovered 3 carefully constructed stone cairns. Hidden beneath one cairn was a small runestone bearing an inscription that documents one of the most extreme expeditions in medieval European history. The stone is authentic, carved sometime between 1250 and 1333 CE. The inscription reads, "Erling Sigvatsson, Bjarni Thordarson, and Endridi Oddsson raised these cairns on Saturday before Rogation Day." That places these 3 Norsemen at 72 degrees north latitude, 600 miles further into the Arctic than their nearest settlement. Rogation Day falls in late April or early May, when the island would be emerging from winter but still locked in spring ice. These weren't desperate castaways. They were organized enough to know the exact liturgical date and coordinate a construction project. They came prepared, they survived, and they left their mark. What's most remarkable isn't that they reached this remote location, it's that they did so systematically. The 3 cairns suggest this was part of a planned expedition, possibly for walrus hunting or exploration. Recent archaeological evidence shows that medieval Norse regularly undertook seasonal expeditions far into the Arctic, using sophisticated ice navigation techniques and portable shelters. But here's the mystery. Why did they want to be remembered? The runestone wasn't meant to mark territory or claim land. It was a memorial, a declaration that they had pushed beyond the edge of their known world and lived to tell about it. What were they really seeking in that frozen wilderness? The Danish government keeps the Kingiderswak stone in secure storage, occasionally allowing scholars access for study. Each examination reveals new details about medieval Arctic exploration, painting a picture of Norse capabilities that official histories have barely begun to acknowledge. In 1999, metal detectorists on the Swedish island of Gotland uncovered the largest Viking Age silver hoard ever found: 165 pounds of hack silver, arm rings, and coins buried in the 11th century. But this wasn't just treasure, it was a library of medieval global trade written in precious metal. The Spillings hoard contains over 14,000 individual pieces of silver from across the known world. Arabic dirhams from Samarkand, Byzantine coins from Constantinople, Anglo-Saxon pennies from England, and German denarii from the Holy Roman Empire. Each piece tells a story of trade routes, political alliances, and cultural exchange that spanned continents. But it's the details that reveal the true sophistication of Viking Age commerce. Many of the Islamic coins show precise cut marks, test cuts made by Viking traders to verify silver purity. The cuts follow specific patterns that suggest standardized testing procedures, evidence of a merchant class that understood metallurgy and international exchange rates. Even more intriguing are the hack silver pieces, fragments of jewelry, ingots, and ornaments chopped up for use as currency. Chemical analysis reveals silver from mines across Europe and Asia, processed using techniques that varied by region. This wasn't random plunder. It was systematic trade in a commodity that required sophisticated knowledge of sources, purity, and value. Some of the Arabic coins in the hoard bear mint marks from cities that were supposedly isolated from northern European trade. Others show wear patterns indicating they circulated for decades before reaching Gotland, passing through multiple hands across thousands of miles. The Swedish National Museum continues to study the Spillings hoard, with new analysis techniques revealing previously unknown details about medieval trade networks. Each discovery reinforces the same conclusion. The Vikings weren't just raiders, they were international merchants operating in a global economy. The Oseberg ship burial, discovered in 1904, remains one of archaeology's most magnificent finds. A 9th-century vessel that carried two high-status women into the afterlife, surrounded by the finest craftsmanship medieval Scandinavia could produce. But beyond its obvious splendor lies a more subtle mystery. The ship and its contents reveal a level of artistic sophistication and international influence that challenges our understanding of Viking Age culture. This wasn't just a burial, it was a statement about power, knowledge, and connections that reached far beyond Scandinavia. The ship's wood preservation allowed for detailed analysis of construction techniques. The builders used advanced shipbuilding methods that wouldn't become standard elsewhere in Europe for centuries. The oak planks were cut with precision that suggests specialized tools and mathematical understanding of hull dynamics. More intriguing are the burial goods, silk textiles from China, a Buddha bucket handle indicating Eastern religious influence, and carved decorations that incorporate artistic motifs from across Europe. The famous animal art style shows influences from Celtic, Germanic, and even Middle Eastern decorative traditions. Most mysterious of all are the tapestries and textiles found in the burial. Analysis reveals dyes and weaving techniques from multiple continents, suggesting trade networks that brought materials from as far as India and Central Asia to this Norwegian fjord. The two women buried in the ship, one elderly, one younger, were clearly figures of immense importance. But their identities remain unknown, and the precise nature of their power unclear. Were they queens, religious leaders, merchants who controlled international trade routes? The Oseberg artifacts are housed in Oslo's Viking Ship Museum, where ongoing research continues to reveal new details about their construction and origins. Each analysis reinforces the same pattern. Medieval Scandinavia was far more cosmopolitan and connected than traditional histories suggest. The Vinland map burst into headlines in 1965 as potential proof that Vikings had mapped North America centuries before Columbus. Today, it's universally recognized as a 20th-century forgery, but the story of why it was created may be more revealing than the map itself. Scientific analysis has definitively proven the map's fraudulent nature. The ink contains anatase titanium dioxide, a compound not used in mapmaking until the 1920s. The parchment, while genuinely medieval, was repurposed by a clever forger who understood that authentic materials would lend credibility to false information. But here's what makes the Vinland map conspiracy truly fascinating. It succeeded because it told people what they wanted to believe. The map appeared at a time when scholars were beginning to recognize that pre-Columbian Viking exploration of North America was historically documented. Lonso Meadows had been discovered, proving Norse presence in Newfoundland around 1000 CE. The forger wasn't creating fantasy. They were extrapolating from real historical evidence to create fake proof of authentic events. The map's geographical details of North America were remarkably accurate, but that's because the forger had access to 20th century knowledge of Viking exploration and cartographic techniques. What's most telling is how quickly the scholarly community embraced and then rejected the map. The initial excitement revealed how much historians wanted physical evidence of Viking achievements. The eventual debunking showed how rigorous scientific analysis could expose even sophisticated forgeries. The Vinland map is now owned by Yale University, where it serves as a teaching tool about the importance of scientific analysis in historical research. But it also stands as testament to a deeper truth. The real story of Viking exploration was so remarkable that someone thought it needed fake evidence to be believed. These 5 artifacts share something profound. They all reveal that medieval Scandinavia was part of a global civilization far more connected and sophisticated than popular culture acknowledges. Each one challenges not just our understanding of the Vikings, but our entire conception of medieval European isolation. The Buddha from Helgö proves religious and artistic exchange across continents. The Kingitorsik runestone documents Arctic exploration that pushed the boundaries of medieval geographical knowledge. The Spillings hoard reveals international commerce that spanned from England to Central Asia. The Oseberg burial shows cultural synthesis that incorporated influences from multiple civilizations. Even the Vinland map forgery tells us something important, that the real achievements of Viking explorers were so extraordinary that they seem to require additional proof to be credible. Perhaps most significant is how these discoveries have been handled by scholars and institutions. Rather than being hidden or suppressed, they've been studied, analyzed, and integrated into our understanding of medieval history. The real conspiracy isn't to hide these artifacts, it's to help people understand that the past was far more complex and interconnected than we've traditionally believed. So what's the real story? The Vikings weren't more technologically advanced than we thought. They were more globally connected. They didn't possess impossible knowledge, they were part of trade networks and cultural exchanges that linked medieval civilizations in ways we're only beginning to understand. These artifacts exist as proof that human curiosity, ambition, and ingenuity have always pushed beyond apparent limitations. They remind us that our ancestors achieved remarkable things not through mysterious knowledge or lost technology, but through the same qualities that drive exploration and discovery today: courage, persistence, and an insatiable desire to see what lies beyond the horizon. What do you think these artifacts really tell us about medieval global connections? Are we only now beginning to understand how interconnected our ancestors' world really was? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.